The Deep Space Monitoring Station on the dark side of the moon remained quiet most nights. Tonight was different. The main computer's alert system broke the silence with an urgent beeping that echoed through the circular control room. The night shift operator rubbed his tired eyes and leaned forward, squinting at the readings on his screen. "That can't be right," he muttered, fingers flying across the keyboard. The data showed multiple objects moving at impossible speeds, decelerating as they approached the outer edges of the solar system. His hands trembled as he reached for the red phone, a direct line to Earth Defense Command. Within hours, every major observatory and space monitoring station on Earth confirmed the same readings. 12 massive objects, each larger than the biggest aircraft carrier ever built, had entered the solar system and were taking up positions beyond Neptune's orbit. The world's leaders gathered in an emergency virtual conference. For the first time in human history, old enemies sat together without argument, united by a threat greater than their differences. The Chinese premier, the American president, and the European Union chairman all watched in silence as the head of the Global Space Agency presented the data. "These vessels," the scientist explained, pointing to holographic projections, "are clearly artificial and show signs of technology far beyond our current capabilities. Their energy signatures are off the charts." The room fell silent as screens worldwide suddenly flickered to life with the same message. The aliens had decided to make first contact. The message was simple but left no room for debate. To the developing civilization of Sol 3. Your world has been identified as suitable for integration into the Galactic Empire. Prepare for assessment and processing. Resistance is inadvisable. End transmission. In underground bunkers across the globe, military commanders exchanged knowing looks. For decades, they had prepared for this moment. Since the recovery of the crashed alien scout ship in 1947, Earth's best scientists had worked in secret to understand and adapt the recovered technology. The president of the Global Defense Council stood before the emergency assembly. "Ladies and gentlemen, civilization as we know it faces its greatest test. But we are not as helpless as they believe." He nodded to his technical advisor, who activated a hidden screen. "Project Shield Wall is ready," the advisor announced. "Our orbital defense grid can be activated within 6 hours. The lunar base factories have been producing quantum-linked weapons for the past 15 years. Every major city has hidden defensive shields that can be powered up at a moment's notice. In orbit, disguised satellites silently transformed, revealing their true nature as defensive platforms. The International Space Station, long thought to be a simple research facility, began deploying advanced sensor arrays and weapon systems that had been hidden in plain sight. The Empire's scout ships detected this sudden surge of activity. Their commanders, expecting to find a primitive civilization barely capable of spaceflight, were surprised to see organized defensive preparations. This was not in their standard invasion protocols. Back on Earth, military bases around the world sprang to life. Hidden hangar doors opened in mountainsides, revealing squadrons of fighters built with hybrid technology, a blend of human innovation and reverse-engineered alien tech. Pilots who had trained for years in secret simulators rushed to their craft, ready to defend their home. The Global Defense Council activated the emergency broadcast system. Across every television, radio, and digital device on Earth, a message played in all languages. "Citizens of Earth, this is not a drill. We have made first contact with an alien civilization. The Galactic Empire has demanded our submission. For generations, we have prepared for this moment. Stand firm. Remain calm. Humanity will not bow to tyranny. Not on Earth, not in space, not ever." As the message played, people around the world looked up at the night sky. Some felt fear, others determination, but all shared a common thought. Humanity would face this challenge together. In their ships beyond Neptune, the Imperial commanders prepared to send their diplomatic fleet, a show of force meant to cow the primitive humans into submission. They had no way of knowing that Earth had spent decades preparing for this exact moment. Their standard invasion protocols were about to meet human ingenuity and determination, a combination that would shake the very foundations of their empire. The stage was set for humanity's greatest stand. 3 days after first contact, the Empire's diplomatic fleet entered the solar system. 5 warships, each the size of a small city, moved with practiced precision toward Earth. Their hulls gleamed with a metallic purple sheen that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. In the Global Defense Command Center buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral James watched the massive ships approach on the holographic display. His weathered face showed no fear, only grim determination. 20 years of preparing for this moment had hardened him to the reality of what was coming. "They're following exactly the pattern we expected," his tactical officer reported. "Standard formation, moving at quarter-light speed, decelerating as they pass Mars orbit." The Admiral nodded. "Send the alert. All stations to battle positions. But remember, no one fires unless I give the word. Let them make the first move." Across the solar system, hidden defense platforms powered up silently. The quantum-linked weapons system, humanity's greatest technological achievement, hummed to life. Each platform could instantly share power and targeting data with all others, creating a web of defensive fire that could catch even the fastest ships. The Imperial Fleet Commander, watching Earth's primitive satellites and space stations, felt nothing but contempt. His orders were simple: demonstrate the Empire's power, accept their surrender, and begin the integration process. It was a dance he had performed 100 times before. His first warning that something was different came when his sensors detected a power spike from Earth's moon. Before he could react, a brilliant blue shield flickered to life around the planet, extending far into space. "Impossible," he muttered in his native tongue. "They're centuries away from shield technology." He keyed his ship's communications. "Primitive world, lower your defenses immediately. This display of resistance will only make your integration more uncomfortable." The response came not in words, but in action. From behind Earth's largest satellite, a fleet of sleek black ships emerged. They were smaller than the Imperial vessels, but moved with incredible speed and precision. Human pilots, trained in secret for years, guided their hybrid tech fighters into defensive formations. The Imperial commander laughed. "So be it. A small show of force should suffice." He ordered his smallest ship to fire a warning shot, a standard Empire tactic to demonstrate their overwhelming power. The energy beam lanced out, powerful enough to vaporize a small city. But as it approached Earth's shield, something unexpected happened. The quantum-linked defense grid activated. Hundreds of satellites fired simultaneously, their combined energy catching the Imperial beam in a web of counterfire. For a moment, space itself seemed to bend. Then, in a flash of blinding light, the Imperial weapon dissipated harmlessly. "Now," Admiral James commanded, his voice steady. The human fleet sprang into action. But instead of engaging directly, they executed a maneuver the Empire had never seen before. Each ship split into 3 smaller craft, multiplying their apparent numbers instantly. Some were real, others were advanced holograms, another gift from decades of reverse engineering. The Imperial fleet's rigid formation, perfected over centuries of unopposed conquest, suddenly became a liability. They couldn't tell which human ships were real and which were decoys. Their targeting computers, designed to track large capital ships, struggled with the smaller, faster Earth vessels. "Enough games," the Imperial commander growled. He ordered all ships to fire full broadsides. Space lit up with enough firepower to crack a small moon. But the humans had one more surprise. The quantum-linked defense grid didn't just stop the attack. It absorbed it. Each satellite captured a portion of the energy, shared it across the network, and prepared to return it. Admiral James allowed himself a small smile. "Show them what Earth can do." The defense grid fired, not in a single massive burst, but in a precisely coordinated sequence of smaller shots. Each blast struck with surgical precision, overwhelming the Imperial ship's shields one section at a time. When the light faded, two Imperial ships drifted powerless in space. Another had retreated with severe damage. The remaining two barely managed to engage their faster-than-light drives, fleeing the solar system. For the first time in 10,000 years, an Imperial fleet had been defeated. As the human pilots cheered, Admiral James kept his eyes on the tactical display. This was only the beginning. The Empire would return, and next time they wouldn't underestimate Earth. But humanity had sent its message. The solar system was not for taking. Deep beneath the ice of Antarctica, in a facility unknown to most of humanity, Dr. Anna walked through rows of alien technology. Each piece had been carefully collected and studied over decades. The room held everything from damaged engine cores to weapon systems, all salvaged from crashed scout ships and secret recovery operations. Status report. She called out to her team of scientists, each focused on different projects. The recent battle had proved their work effective, but they needed more. The Empire would return with a larger force. The new fusion drives are ready, one scientist reported, gesturing to a massive engine that glowed with a soft blue light. We've improved the design we found in the crashed ship. Our version is 30% more efficient. This was humanity's greatest advantage, the ability to not just copy alien technology, but to improve it. Where the Empire had grown comfortable with their tech, humans constantly pushed for better solutions. In orbit, the International Space Station had dropped its peaceful disguise completely. Its true form was a massive shipyard, hidden in plain sight for 15 years. Workers in spacesuits moved between half-finished warships, installing weapons and shields based on the Antarctic team's research. Time to show the world what we've really been building, the station commander announced over the general channel. At his signal, massive panels slid away, revealing humanity's secret fleet. 20 ships, each built with a perfect blend of human innovation and alien technology. The largest vessel, named Defender, pushed away from its docking clamps. Unlike the rigid, blocky designs of Imperial ships, Earth's vessels were sleek and adaptable. Each could change its configuration mid-battle, a concept the Empire had never considered. Back on Earth, in the Sahara Desert, another secret sprang to life. What appeared to be endless sand dunes shifted, revealing the largest ground-based shipyard on the planet. Here, humans had built their fastest ships, designed for hit-and-run tactics against the Empire's larger vessels. The Global Defense Council gathered to review their preparations. Screens showed facilities around the world activating. In the Amazon rainforest, advanced radar arrays rose above the canopy. Under the Pacific Ocean, massive energy collectors powered up, ready to supply the planetary shield grid. The Empire thinks they know what we're capable of, Admiral James addressed the council. They saw our defense grid and a small part of our fleet. But humanity has always been good at keeping secrets. He played footage from the recent battle. Their ships rely on brute force and overwhelming power. But look here. The video showed how Earth's smaller ships had confused and outmaneuvered the Imperial vessels. They don't adapt. They don't innovate. That's our advantage. Dr. Anna's voice came through on the command channel. Admiral, you need to see this. She transmitted data from her Antarctic lab. We've decoded more of their communications. The Empire has never encountered a species that was ready for them. Their entire conquest strategy relies on technological superiority. But we've had their technology for decades, someone pointed out. Exactly, Anna replied. And we've improved it in ways they never imagined. Their ships use standard quantum drives. Ours use quantum fold technology, our own invention that combines their science with human theories. We're not just ready for them. We're ahead of them in some areas. The Admiral studied the tactical displays. Humanity's fleet was smaller than what the Empire could bring, but every ship represented a leap forward in technology. Where Imperial ships were specialized, Earth's vessels could adapt to any situation. Each carried improved versions of stolen tech, combined in ways the Empire had never considered. "Send word to all commands," the Admiral ordered. "Operation Hidden Arsenal is now active. Show everyone what humanity has been building in secret." Across Earth, hidden facilities revealed themselves. Mountains opened to show squadrons of fighters. Undersea bases launched ships that could outmaneuver anything in the Imperial fleet. Space stations transformed into battle platforms. In Antarctica, Dr. Anna watched the global activation with pride. "Let them come," she said softly. "Humanity's got a few more surprises waiting." The Empire had expected to find a primitive civilization. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, one that had spent decades preparing for this very moment. Earth was ready not just to defend itself, but to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The Empire's main invasion fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system exactly as Earth's scientists had predicted. 100 massive warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel, their hulls darkening the stars behind them. This was the largest fleet the Empire had assembled in 5 centuries. "They're here," Admiral James announced to the Global Defense Council. The holographic display showed the Imperial Armada spreading out in attack formation. "Time to show them what happens when you threaten Earth." The Empire's High Commander stood on his flagship's bridge, watching the approach to the blue planet. His predecessor's failure had cost him his position. Now, this new commander intended to make an example of Earth. "Launch first wave," he ordered. 30 warships accelerated toward Earth, their weapons charging. Behind them, massive troop carriers moved into position, ready to begin the ground invasion. But Earth was ready. As the Imperial ships passed Mars, they triggered the first trap. Hidden bases on Mars's moons activated, launching swarms of automated drones. These tiny machines, barely larger than satellites, attached themselves to Imperial ships like metal leeches. "What is this?" the Imperial commander demanded as his ship's shields began to flicker. The drones were using the Empire's own shield frequency against them, creating gaps in their defenses. Admiral James watched from Earth's command center. "Begin Operation Scattered Thunder." Earth's fleet emerged not as one group, but from dozens of hidden locations across the solar system. Ships rose from Jupiter's moons, emerged from Saturn's rings, and powered up from hidden bases in the asteroid belt. The Empire's neat formation suddenly found itself surrounded. "Impossible." The Imperial commander slammed his fist on his control panel. Their fleet was a fraction of this size. The battle erupted across the solar system. Earth's ships, smaller but far more maneuverable, darted between the Imperial vessels. They used the asteroid belt as cover, appearing to fire and then vanishing again into the debris field. In orbit around Earth, the planetary shield flickered to life, stronger than before. The quantum defense grid had been expanded, now covering a sphere twice the size of the moon's orbit. The Imperial commander ordered his heavy warships forward. "Concentrate all fire on their shield grid. No planetary defense can withstand our combined power." But as the Imperial ships fired, something unexpected happened. Earth's quantum grid didn't just block their attacks. It caught them. The energy was absorbed, channeled through the network of satellites, and redirected back at the Imperial fleet. "Now," Admiral James ordered, "show them our new toys." Earth's ships executed their most daring move yet. Using the quantum-fold drives, they seemed to blink out of existence, reappearing inside the Imperial formation. The Empire's tight battle lines became a liability as they couldn't fire without hitting their own ships. The battle turned into chaos. Imperial ships, designed for long-range combat, found themselves in close-quarters battles they weren't built for. Earth's vessels transformed mid-fight, changing from battleships to fast attack craft, and back again. In the asteroid belt, humanity's guerrilla tactics proved devastating. Small squadrons would emerge from hiding, fire precise shots at Imperial engines and weapons, then vanish back into the debris before the larger ships could respond. The Imperial commander watched in growing horror as his casualty numbers climbed. This is impossible. They're savages. They're primitives. How are they doing this? Aboard Earth's command ship, Admiral James allowed himself a small smile. Send in the finishing touch. From behind the sun, Earth's secret weapon appeared. The Defender, now fully operational, moved into position. It was smaller than the Imperial ships, but carried humanity's most advanced technology. Its quantum-fold drive allowed it to jump instantly across the battlefield. Its weapons were powered by a miniature star, and its hull could reshape itself to adapt to any attack. The Imperial fleet, already in disarray, began to break formation. Ships turned to retreat, only to find more of Earth's vessels waiting behind them. The trap was complete. When the solar system finally fell quiet again, 40 Imperial ships drifted powerless in space. 30 more had been destroyed, and the rest had fled, leaving their ground invasion force stranded and surrounded. The Empire had suffered its greatest defeat in a millennium, and humanity had sent a clear message. Earth would not just resist, it would win. In the Imperial Palace on the Empire's capital world, the news of the fleet's defeat spread like wildfire. The Grand Council gathered in emergency session, their faces showing a mixture of disbelief and rage. Never in their 10,000-year history had they faced such a humiliation. How? The Imperial Chancellor demanded, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. How did a single primitive world defeat our finest fleet? The answer came from an unexpected source. A junior military analyst stepped forward, his hand shaking as he activated a holographic display. My lords, I've analyzed the battle data. The humans, they don't fight like anyone we've ever faced. The display showed recordings from the battle. Earth's ships moving in patterns that seemed chaotic, but were actually carefully planned. Multiple command centers operating independently yet in perfect coordination. Weapons and defenses that used Imperial technology in ways the Empire had never imagined. Their entire civilization is built differently, the analyst explained. Where we have one central command, they have dozens. When we lost our fleet commander, our ships fell into confusion. But Earth's forces kept fighting even when we destroyed their main command centers. Back on Earth, humanity was already preparing for the Empire's next move. In the Antarctic Research Facility, Dr. Anna made a breakthrough that would change everything. She burst into the Global Defense Council's emergency session, her eyes bright with excitement. We've decoded their full military database, she announced, throwing data onto the main screen. The Empire has a fatal flaw. They haven't fought a real war in centuries. Every civilization they conquered surrendered after the first show of force. They don't know how to handle real resistance. Admiral James studied the data. Look at this. He pointed to a section of the Imperial battle doctrine. All their strategies assume technological superiority. They have no protocols for fighting an enemy with equal or better technology. The council chamber buzzed with this new information. Humanity had not just survived the Empire's attack. They had shaken the foundation of Imperial power. The myth of their invincibility was broken. Across the galaxy, news of Earth's victory spread through hidden channels. On worlds conquered by the Empire centuries ago, people began to whisper, if one planet could resist, maybe others could too. The Empire's rigid command structure became its greatest weakness. Their officers, trained to follow strict protocols, couldn't adapt to Earth's flexible tactics. Their ships, designed to overwhelm primitive worlds, found themselves outmaneuvered by vessels that could change shape and strategy mid-battle. We've intercepted more communications, Dr. Anna reported to the Council. Other species are watching us. The Empire has ruled through fear for so long that no one ever thought to question them. Until now, the Imperial Grand Council faced a crisis unlike any in their history. Their attempts to capture Earth's leadership had failed because there was no single leader to capture. Their economic sanctions were useless against a world that had prepared for isolation. Their technological advantages had been copied, improved, and turned against them. On a dozen Imperial worlds, unrest began to stir. Ancient races, long submissive to Imperial rule, looked to Earth with growing interest. The humans had done more than resist. They had revealed that the Empire was not all-powerful. Admiral James stood before the Global Defense Council, presenting his analysis. The Empire's greatest strength was their reputation. No one fought back, because everyone believed resistance was impossible. We've shown the galaxy that's not true. The Council voted unanimously to take the next step. Earth would not just defend itself, it would become a beacon of hope for other worlds. The quantum communication network, hidden from Imperial detection, began broadcasting a message to every conquered species in the galaxy. You are not alone, the message said in 1,000 languages. Resistance is possible. Earth stands ready to help. In the Imperial Palace, the Grand Council received reports of growing unrest across their domain. Their perfect order was crumbling. The analysts' words echoed in their chambers. The humans don't just fight differently, they think differently. They don't accept limits. They don't follow rules. They adapt, they improve, they overcome. The Empire had wanted to conquer Earth. Instead, they had awakened a force that would reshape the galaxy. The turning point had come, and there would be no going back. Operation Lighthouse began in the darkness of space beyond Mars. Earth's fleet, now enlarged with captured Imperial ships modified with human improvements, gathered silently. Admiral James stood on the bridge of the Defender, watching his tactical display as hundreds of ships moved into position. All ships report ready, his communications officer announced. Operation Lighthouse is go. For the first time in history, humanity would take the fight to the Empire. Their target, the Imperial supply lines that kept their massive fleet running. Earth had learned that the Empire's strength depended on a complex network of supply routes and refueling stations. Remember, Admiral James addressed all crews, we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. Every successful strike shows the galaxy that the Empire can be beaten. The fleet jumped using their quantum fold drives, appearing simultaneously at 12 different Imperial supply stations. The Empire's defenders, used to protecting against simple pirates, found themselves facing ships that could outmaneuver and outfight anything in their defense fleet. At Imperial Supply Station 7, the largest refueling point in the sector, the station commander watched in horror as Earth ships seemed to materialize from nowhere. They didn't attack the station directly. Instead, they targeted the fuel lines and storage tanks with surgical precision. Send reinforcements, he screamed into his communication device, but help would arrive too late. Dr. Anna, coordinating the attack from Earth, had designed a new weapon specifically for this mission. Small drones, packed with improved versions of Imperial technology, attached themselves to the station's computer systems. Within minutes, they had downloaded the entire Imperial supply network database. Look at this, she transmitted to Admiral James. Every supply route, every hidden depot, every secret storage facility. We can cripple their ability to wage war. The Empire's response was slow and confused. Their ships arrived in large groups, following standard protocol, only to find the humans had already struck and vanished. When they fortified one location, Earth's fleet would appear at another. In the Centauri sector, an Imperial heavy cruiser patrol discovered something unexpected. A disabled Imperial supply ship, its crew alive but its cargo gone. The ship's captain had a message for Imperial command. The humans took only what they needed. They treated our crew with respect. They said they're not here to conquer, they're here to free. This pattern repeated across dozens of sectors. Earth's ships would appear, disable Imperial facilities with minimal casualties, and vanish. They left behind not destruction, but hope. Every successful raid proved that the Empire was not invincible. On 3 different Imperial worlds, local resistance movements suddenly found themselves equipped with advanced weapons and ships. Earth had turned the Empire's own supply lines into a network for supporting rebellion. Multiple Imperial worlds are reporting unrest. Dr. Anna updated the Global Defense Council. Our strategy is working. The Empire can't maintain control while constantly chasing our fleet. The Imperial response grew increasingly desperate. They fortified their remaining supply lines with massive fleet concentrations, leaving their conquered worlds with reduced garrisons. This was exactly what Earth had planned for. Phase 2. Admiral James ordered. Earth's fleet, now split into smaller, faster groups, began hitting the weakly defended Imperial worlds. But they didn't attack. They delivered supplies, weapons, and hope to the local populations. The Empire's rigid command structure became its greatest weakness. By the time orders came from the capital, Earth's ships had already struck and vanished. Their faster-than-light communication network, improved beyond Imperial standards, let them coordinate attacks across vast distances. In the Imperial Palace, the Grand Council received a disturbing report. Earth's raids had cut their military fuel supplies by 40%. 6 outer worlds were in open rebellion. Dozens more showed signs of unrest. Phase 3. Admiral James announced to his fleet. The Defender led a bold push straight toward the Empire's core worlds. Not to attack, but to show every oppressed species in the galaxy that the Empire's heart was not beyond reach. The message was clear. The era of Imperial dominance was ending. Humanity had not only defended itself, it had become a beacon of hope for every species that dreamed of freedom. Operation Lighthouse had lit up the darkness of Imperial rule, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Great Hall of the Imperial Palace fell silent as Earth's transmission appeared on every screen. After months of successful raids and growing rebellion across the galaxy, humanity was ready to make its final move. The image showed the combined Earth Defense Council, representing every nation on the planet. To the Galactic Empire, Admiral James began, his voice firm and clear. Earth makes this declaration. The solar system and its surrounding space are now a sovereign territory, permanently closed to Imperial control. The Imperial Chancellor gripped his throne, knuckles white with rage. But he couldn't ignore the reality of the situation. Behind Earth's diplomatic message, tactical displays showed the positions of human fleets throughout Imperial space. They had positioned themselves with perfect strategic precision. Dr. Anna stood beside Admiral James, adding her own message. We've shared our improved technology with 12 formerly Imperial worlds. 20 more have declared their independence. Your empire is breaking apart not because of our weapons, but because of hope. The transmission continued, outlining Earth's terms. They were not demands for surrender, but an offer of peace with conditions. The Empire would recognize Earth's independence. All previously conquered worlds would be given the choice of freedom. The Imperial fleet would withdraw from Earth's declared space. Free trade would be established between willing worlds. In the Imperial Palace, the Grand Council erupted in chaos. Some demanded immediate military action, but others had seen the data. Earth's raids had crippled their supply lines. Their best fleets had been defeated. Worse, their own subjects were turning against them. Wait, a younger council member spoke up. Look at their terms carefully. They're not demanding our destruction. They're offering us a way to survive. Back on Earth, the Defense Council watched as their message was broadcast across the galaxy. On hundreds of worlds, billions of beings saw proof that resistance was possible. The Empire's perfect order was already crumbling. The Defender, now joined by ships from newly freed worlds, took up position at a symbolic point in space, exactly halfway between Earth and the Imperial capital. Admiral James had chosen this spot carefully, close enough to show their strength, far enough to show they weren't conquerors. The Empire has a choice, he transmitted. Adapt or fall. The age of absolute rule is over. In orbit around Earth, the combined fleet of humanity showed just how far they had come. Ships of all sizes moved in perfect coordination, their quantum-linked systems giving them advantages the Empire had never imagined. But it wasn't just military power on display. Earth was showing the galaxy a new way forward. Dr. Anna's research teams had already begun sharing their innovations with other worlds. We improved the Empire's technology because we had to think differently. she explained to representatives from newly freed planets. Now we can all work together to build something better. The Imperial Chancellor stood before his Grand Council, facing the hardest decision in their 10,000-year history. The Empire had two choices: fight a losing war against an alliance of free worlds, or accept change and survive. Times change, he said finally, his voice heavy with the weight of history. Perhaps it is time we change too. The response came within hours. The Empire would accept Earth's terms, not out of weakness, they claimed, but out of recognition that the galaxy was entering a new era. As the news spread, celebrations erupted on countless worlds. Species that had lived under Imperial rule for generations looked to Earth with wonder. Humans hadn't just defeated the Empire. They had shown that cooperation was stronger than conquest. Admiral James stood on the Defender's Bridge one last time, watching the Imperial fleet withdraw from Earth's declared space. "We did it," he said quietly. "Not just for us, but for everyone." The final declaration was broadcast across the galaxy in every known language. Earth is free. The solar system stands as a beacon of independence. To all who seek freedom, know that you have allies. To all who would conquer, know that this space is forbidden to you. We are humanity, and we choose our own path among the stars. As the message faded, a new age began. The galaxy would no longer be ruled by a single empire, but would grow through cooperation and mutual respect. And at the center of this change stood Earth, the planet that had dared to say no to an empire and changed the course of galactic history forever.